Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John Jet Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a special presentation of the NCSL here on College Football Revamp. We got a special one on tap for you guys here today. As I mentioned it in the last episode, gonna be a lot of bowl action going on, and it should be some fun games happening around the country. And what we are going to do here today is all of these bowl games that you are seeing on your screen right now that do not pertain to the college football playoff. Well, we are actually going to be playing every single game today, and I am extremely excited to get the episode underway. Got a lot of teams that will be featured in this episode, which hopefully means that there's a lot of good games coming our way. So hope you guys are excited for it, and if you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel as well, and let's not waste a single moment longer. Let's go ahead and jump into bowl season. It should indeed be a really fun one. I'll see you guys there on the field. So we will officially go ahead and get bowl season officially underway as we get things going with Eastern Michigan taking on Navy in the New Mexico Bowl. Eastern Michigan, of course, a team that was outscored on average by 7 points a game, but they were just that scrappy team that always seems to find a way. But we do have a school record to start this video already, as Spencer Jackson, he transferred here from an FCS school a few years ago. He actually messes around and sets the school record for most receptions in a career. But there's Eastern Michigan continuing to be feisty here in the second quarter. This is how they did it. They win in those turnover battles. And now the Eagles got a chance to tie the game before we go into halftime. That's a big time running there by Paul Miller, who's able to move forward, pick up 6 yards on the run. But that's not why we're showing this play. We see yet another school record broke for a career rushing yards. He's closing in on 4,000 yards rushing, an impressive career for the Eagles running back. However, Eastern Michigan drive is still going to keep going as they try to tie this game up. Going down to the last minute of the first half, dropping back, got some time, fires to the end zone, and finds Brent Roberts for a 24-yard touchdown. And we got ourselves a tie game. We got ourselves an interesting game going into the fourth quarter. Navy was able to distance themselves a little bit, build upon a 10-point lead. However, here we are in a goal line situation though. Eagles trying to make this a field goal game, and they do with Paul Miller, who at this point is now the first Eastern Michigan running back to hit over 4,000 yards rushing. But it won't be enough though. The Eagles will finish the year below 500 as Navy wins the New Mexico Bowl. However, we'll now go and keep ourselves here in the Western United States as Kentucky will be taking on UNLV in that famous Idaho Potato Bowl. The winner of this bowl game, of course, getting the opportunity to be doused in those Idaho famous French fries. And looks like UNLV's coach is a little bit more motivated to make that happen as they'll take an early 7-0 lead. UNLV, a sneaky good team, one of those teams that was ranked in the top 25 at one point in the season. Kentucky, of course, falling off here in the second half of the season, but we're going to finish that year on a high note as they'll go ahead and run it out on the right-hand side. Got the running back as Mike McNair is untouched, and UNLV with a significant advantage, now up by 2 possessions. And they're looking to keep their foot on the gas pedal. Here we are in the third quarter, a similar score as Mike McNair again. He's got the corner, able to break away from one tackle, but couldn't get away from a second one. However, that does make it a goal line situation as quarterback will throw to the right-hand side, trying to run his way into the end zone, and they do. UNLV scores again, and that's Drew Foster's second passing touchdown of the game. And this is a little bit of a surprise here. UNLV coming out here and dominating the Wildcats of Kentucky. Kentucky down by 24 at this point, just looking to make that scoreboard look a little bit nicer for the highlight reel, as Kentucky will finally find the end zone with 7-Eleven left to play. That's a great gas station. Not a great spot to be in if you're the losing team. That's a great play by Sheldon Newell. Oh my goodness, that was a little bit of Travis Hunter thrown in there. So the 2-point conversion is no good. And UNLV also driving down the field again, looking for the 30 burgers. How was that catch made? Justin Singleton was wrapped like cheese on macaroni, and he was still able to make the catch anyways. It didn't even matter. And needless to say, Brian Sanders is going to score. The Rebels winning the Idaho Famous Potato Bowl, as they will win 10 games here in year number 2. An excellent season. And speaking of those excellent seasons, we now go to the Arizona Bowl, where Colorado State, ranked number 16 in the country, they will take on perennial underachiever Notre Dame, as they are 7-5 going into this bowl game. But on paper, Notre Dame is the better team. But as Notre Dame has found out numerous times this season, it is not about how good you look on paper. It's about how you actually execute. And Colorado State, even though they may not have the same horses in the bullpen, they're still playing some good ball, tied up at 7 with the Fighting Irish. However, all things considered, Colorado State trying to drive down the field, trying to reclaim this lead, as Eric McBride's going to try to set up the screen for the tailback. Tailback trying to get to the outside, and he does. Phil Carter is going to be able to pick up that first down there, and it's going to be a 1st and goal at the 1-yard line, as Eric McBride, and he's the huge reason why Colorado State is having the type of season that they're having right now. Well, he's going to run it into the end zone. So that now makes it 14-7. And speaking of running touchdowns, how about this running prowess by McBride, just simply not giving up? Oh my word, that is an elite runner right there. And now looking at another 3rd and goal, McBride looking for his 2nd rushing touchdown, and he's gonna get it. Another score for Colorado State. And the Rams are just ramming right through the Fighting Irish front 7. Notre Dame will cut it down to a 10-point game, but even with this score, the Fighting Irish are certainly going to be in some trouble here in the Arizona Bowl, especially if they can't stop this offense, which has been more high-powered than expected. Phil Carter again with another score. Colorado State, they'll end up winning the Arizona Bowl convincingly, 45-17, capping off a great season. And speaking of those great seasons, we get our first top 25 matchup of the NCSL Bowl season. It finds us here at the Gasparilla Bowl down in Tampa, Florida. Could be a de facto home game for the Florida Gators, as Florida does come in ranked number 14 in the entire country, while Michigan was a team that almost made it to the college football playoff. Unfortunately, blew a 2-touchdown lead in the 4th quarter to Ohio State, which did cost that. But here we are in the 2nd quarter, 30 seconds left till the end of the half. We still have not had a touchdown in this game. That is a pretty darn shame, but maybe we'll get one in this particular drive, as we're down to the last 10 seconds, so probably last chance before they'll settle for a field goal. But that will not be necessary, though, as Matt Smith will punch that into the end zone. And finally, we get that touchdown that we are looking for. But in spite of that, Michigan's been field goaling Florida to death. They're up by a couple of points, but maybe we'll see Michigan find the end zone for a change, as first possession of the second half for the Michigan Wolverines. They're now inside the 5-yard line, closest that they've been to the end zone all day long, and they will use that opportunity to punch it in as Maurice Hall gets into the end zone for the University of Michigan. The Wolverines extend their lead against Florida. So now 16-7 your score, as they're going to need a big play from their offense. This might be what they've been looking for. Down the sideline, breaks one tackle, another, and Matt Smith is going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown Florida. And the Gators are right back in the game. And how about the elusiveness of Matt Smith just breaking away? And Michigan playing it decently. They got to where this running back was. They just couldn't finish the play. And now here we are, 4th quarter, in a close game. Exactly what you want in your top 25 matchups, what team ultimately wants it more? We'll see who ends up coming out on top as we got a second and short coming up. Dropping back is Lawrence Arnold. Trying to fire over the right side. It's intercepted. Florida's got a chance to win the game with 4 minutes left as Lawrence Arnold throws a critical interception. Just needed to throw some touch on that ball, but Florida doesn't do anything with it with 4 minutes left. And the Michigan Wolverines, in spite of that big time mistake, well, we'll still see the Wolverines win 16-14 being your final score here in the Gasparilla Bowl, which means Michigan does finish a pretty good season at 11-3, while Florida still surprises some people, finishing the year at 9-4. But now that was not the only top 25 matchup that we had planned here tonight, as we got UCLA taking on the Cougars of BYU. BYU coming off of a big time win in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. They'll be taking on a pretty good team out of the Pac-12 Conference. That team is the UCLA Bruins, who they were the national runners-up last year, but they are not a team that did not make the college football playoff this year, so we'll have a new runner-up, which will be revealed in the next episode, that college football playoff episode. But BYU does not care. They do not care how good UCLA is. I just had to clear my throat. That's sexy. Speaking of sexy, that is a nice throw over to the outside. And BYU is going to have an early lead to work with as well, as UCLA will try to answer back. Got a big time throw down the right side. And that's a great reception for Kobe Green. That goes for 30 yards. So now UCLA finds themselves in BYU territory, trying to use that backfield duo that happens to feature Brent Childress. He touches the ball for the first time today, and he goes for a big game. He's a dangerous running back. As speaking of dangerous men, Chad Black is a bad man as Chad Black finds the end zone for UCLA. So we've had 2 possessions in this game already. Well, both of them ended up in touchdowns. It could end up being a shootout, something they'll certainly have to watch out for, as we'll cut into BYU's next possession as they face a 3rd and 6, but going for the long ball downfield, and Will Wilson was just wide but naked open. A 32-yard catch on a 3rd and 6. You absolutely hate to see it, as you also hate to see this quarterback get loose in the open field as well. That's Blake Snyder with his 2nd overall touchdown of the day. BYU will take the lead once again, but now we'll see if UCLA can answer back as well. 3rd and 5 coming up. They need to pick up this first down with the intention of it being a shootout. Throwing across his body, but it's intercepted. And I'm not sure what he was looking at, but it was not a good idea. Brian Daniels is going to be picked up by Daniel Johnson in the secondary. But we know when we talked about how this game could have been a shootout, we actually see things significantly slow down. We don't have another touchdown happen until midway through the 3rd quarter, interesting enough, right? So Kobe Green is able to take the top off the defense, and Kobe Green will give UCLA the lead for the first time in this entire freaking football game. And Kobe Green, I mean, he even had 2 guys on him. Both of them were linebackers, though. So that was going to be a mismatch without any stretch of the imagination. However, we cut late into the 3rd quarter. They're trying to set up this option play, but it goes out of bounds, though. So BYU gets the safety. Thankfully, Childress was there to land on the ball, because if he didn't, BYU would have had this lead. So UCLA, they got a chance to run out this clock. Still the same score, as they'll pitch it out to the left-hand side. How about this for a run? And you just gotta feel bad. Brian Daniels just made a great play there. Nothing that you could really do about it. And although I am surprised that they did decide to run it in, because that gives BYU the ball with 2 minutes left to play. So we'll see if that haunts them, as Snyder's got some time in the pocket, will throw to the right-hand side, but Looks like that pass may have been thrown late. The true freshman Ruru Martin is going to take advantage, and that will seal the deal in the Las Vegas Bowl, as UCLA does come out on top, winning 24-16. The Bruins will have back-to-back 10-win years. However, we go into now the New Orleans Bowl, where Maryland will go down to the Bayou to take on Tulane. Tulane, of course, this has to be a home game. Tulane is located in New Orleans, so just some fantastic luck that they happen to end up here in the New Orleans Bowl in their hometown. Just an interesting thing, right? So we'll see how Tulane handles that, as I'm sure that'll be a nice welcome advantage. Playing in the Louisiana Superdome as well, not to mention. And Tulane really coming out fired up in this game. I mean, Alton Brown in the first half of action just seems like he's the type of guy, at least in this particular game, that could not do any wrong whatsoever. And that's going to be shown here on the scoreboard as Tulane looks to take a even bigger lead. They're looking to build off this nice start that they got going on, as Alton Brown. Fine, we're going to see a quarterback draw. No, instead, a tight throw to Chris Green. But Green is still able to haul it in. Alton Brown off to a great start. And Tulane now up 14-0. As Browns again has some time. Has an open running back out on the perimeter. It's Cody Taylor who's going to pick up that first down for the Green Wave. And now looking at a goal line situation. Looking at a 5-wide set. However, Maryland sends the blitz, and that might have not been the best idea either. Brown again is going to score for Tulane. And we're looking at 21-0. How about we go make it 28-0 possibly, depending on what happens on this particular drive as well. Brown is going to slide forward, pick up a solid 6 yards to make this third down conversion a lot more manageable. As again, Maryland decides to send the blitz. The blitz is straight up not working. It's not getting home. And even though that they're sending 5, sometimes 6 guys, they're still able to find a way to come out and give Alton Brown some time. So Tulane with a massive lead, 28-0 is your score. But Maryland never gives up. They never give up, never quits. And Maryland's going to just start working its way, chipping away at it until we get into the fourth quarter. 4.5 minutes left. Maryland actually could mess around and tie this game. And sure enough, they will. They run a nice little option to Jimmy Jams. And now we're looking at overtime. We're in overtime. Tulane had a 31-10 lead at some point. Maryland, now thanks to this particular field goal, has 24 unanswered points. But Tulane can end this game if they're able to get into the end zone here, but they're going to make it a lot harder on themselves. So, as they're now going to have to deal with a 3rd and long. 3rd and 12 coming up. Brown again going to be hit in the backfield, as Drew Gilliam is going to set the school record for most career sacks, originally set by Andre Monroe almost 15 years ago. But Tulane dealing with a 4th and 20. They must pick up the first down. Brown drops back, fires to the left-hand side, but it's not going to be close. And a choke job for Tulane is completed as Maryland storms back down by 21 and win the New Orleans Bowl. What a shocker. So hopefully we have some heart-stomping bowl action for the rest of this episode. Every bowl game being shown in one single video. You love to see it. So now we jump into the Hawaii Bowl as we check in on a team that was criminally underrated during the regular season, New Mexico. New Mexico came in hot in the second half of the year, and they'll be taking on the number 17 ranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights in the Hawaii Bowl on beautiful Oahu Island. Thoughts and prayers obviously still with the folks over in Maui, dealing with the tragedy of those wildfires. But going back to the game action though, we have a good game here between New Mexico and Rutgers. Almost said Hawaii. Hawaii is obviously not in this game because I can't read. But what I can read is Ken Garrett with a touchdown run. A short touchdown run, but it is a touchdown run nonetheless. and allows Rutgers to take the lead, and then they will proceed to extend that lead a few minutes later in the game as Ken Garrett's going to throw his first passing touchdown. So, looks like Rutgers is starting to take control of the game, but New Mexico trying to take advantage of the fact that this is the first and only time this season that they will be on national television. They want to show that, hey, we may be in an unrecognized state in Albuquerque, but we're a good football team too, as trying to stay in the thick of things, as David Martin really had to reach down and make that catch somehow. Did it nonetheless, but Rutgers looking to slam the door. 3rd and goal, as trying to scramble, but there's a ball on the ground. New Mexico is going to recover the break that New Mexico needed. They're going to get it here, and here comes the Lobos looking to storm back here in the Hawaii Bowl. Dropping back, looking over to the right-hand side. It's going to be caught by Eric Kinney. 13-yard reception. So clock will continue to run for now, but they need this touchdown. They're going to get the touchdown to Johnny Turner. Back to a field goal game. And it comes down to this last-minute drive. 2:18 to play. New Mexico going to that ground game. They are not moving away from their identity, at least not that easily, as they got to go no huddle. They need to reach the end zone now. 2nd and 11. Watson throwing to the right-hand side, but it's thrown late. It's thrown late. And I think the fat lady might be starting to warm up those vocals, as Rutgers is going to pull it off here in the Hawaii Bowl, taking down New Mexico 27-21 in a thriller. Speaking of thrillers that could be coming our way, how about an old conference rivalry? Arkansas and Tennessee, now in 2 different conferences all of a sudden, but they're here in the Quick Lane Bowl as Arkansas look to get the opening salvo against Tennessee, but the pressure going to get to Michael Motley. However, there's a flag on the field, but it's going to be a holding penalty. It's going to be a holding on defense during the interception. So Tennessee still gets the ball, but they don't do anything with it though. And after that initial interception, Arkansas really does start to get settled in, and Arkansas really never looked back after that. It was an absolute assault on Tennessee football here today as the Razorbacks win by 30. So here's to hoping that we get a more competitive game in the next one as we go to the Duke's Mayo's Bowl, the most memeable of bowl games. This one in pretty intriguing matchup between Charlotte and Toledo. Both teams love to do this thing called putting points on the board, and neither team great at stopping the other. So this could be a shootout that could be in our hands right now. We'll see what we happen to get, as Charlotte, the number 19 team in the nation, by the way, they jumped into the top 25 late in the season. Well, they're down 13-0 already against this feisty Toledo squad. As now, Charlotte finally looking for this end zone. They get it for the first time. With 2 minutes left to play in the first quarter, Akeem Edwards is going to score. However, Toledo looking to answer back as they look to put a good drive of their own. Looks like they're going to the big, burly fullback, who's able to rumble and stumble his way to a near first down. He's actually been getting pretty involved in the offense in general. He's got a 2nd and inches coming up. Going to run up the gun for William Avery, who's going to score for the Rockets. And the Rocket Man is going to be excited about that score. And they're going to need all the points that they can get, because Charlotte, more than capable of getting points of their own. But again, the Toledo Rockets continuing to explode on the football field offensively. Going back and forth between these two teams like heavyweight boxers, trading punches. But we get into late in the third quarter. Why would I show a 0-yard run? Well, Akeem Edwards actually sets the single game record on that particular run somehow. Don't know why they're lifting him up when they just got stuffed. But Charlotte is only down by 7. A chance to tie this game with 6.5 minutes left in the ball game, as that is a shot that Andrew Turner takes, but looks like he is going to be perfectly fine though. He'll get back up. He watches his hockey highlights. And now they fake it to Edwards with Turner. Dropping back, looks over the middle. Joey Ashley makes the catch, but is enough for a first down. That is unclear on the field. They will give him the first down as Charlotte choosing the pass here, and the ball's on the ground. The Toledo defense holds. They hold it down in Toledo in a spot to win the Duke's Mayo Bowl, but Charlotte gets down the field quickly, looking to hold it down, but Toledo gets another red zone turnover down the sideline. And the ultimate difference in this game was indeed the turnovers. Toledo going to win the Duke's Mayo Bowl 40-30, and it was certainly an exciting one that no one's going to forget anytime soon. But now we go to the Military Bowl as Bowling Green is going to be taking on the Eagles of Boston College. Boston College was a team that was 5-1 or 5-2 at some point, but they have been stumbling here in the second half of the season. Bowling Green, however, looks to finish on a high note after losing in the American Championship game last episode to the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. So here we are, 14-0 your score for Boston College finally finds the end zone. But Bowling Green, gotta give those boys some credit. They really showed up and they played an excellent game, at least in the first half. We'll see if we see another choke job, possibly. My voice just cracked a little bit. That's weird. But Bowling Green's going to try to hold down this 2-point conversion as Boston College decides to do that. I don't know what they were thinking, but it is a decision. We'll give them that for sure. But needless to say, Bowling Green did not struggle. They beat Boston College here in the Military Bowl. Meanwhile, we'll have yet another top 25 matchup coming up in our direction. How about Virginia Tech taking on the Huskies of Washington? A nice little top 25 matchup to end the regular season. Virginia Tech unfortunately did not make it to the ACC Championship because of their late season loss to Clemson. In Washington, they were really a byproduct of strength of schedule being a thing. They're 9-4 coming into this game. So we'll see who is ranked better than who when the dust settles, or at least who should be. As Washington, we all know that this was coming. They want to use that run game. However, we got a bad situation here as Washington turns the football over and Virginia Tech is going to recover. They've been watching this game plan, and Jason Smith, he just puts the ball on the ground, unfortunately. But still, the Hokies down by a field goal going into late in the first quarter, and Ryan Scott right on the money there with a 40-yard catch, and it'll set up this touchdown run ultimately by Ira Dixon. And Ira Dixon is going to score for Virginia Tech there. The Hokies will take the lead against the number 15 ranked Washington Huskies. And that's just the byproduct of that option quarterback being absolutely Ford tough. And speaking of Ford tough, there's some tough running there by Andy Curtis there as well. Andy Curtis will score for Washington, as that will mean that these two teams will be trading the lead for some time as we go midway through the third quarter. Still a tying game here, a little bit more of a defensive-minded game, but a tying game here nonetheless, as Travis Cook could give him one of the bigger plays, a 29-yard reception, as now looking around, trying to get to scramble upfield, but the ball's on the ground. Washington's going to recover. It's the true freshman, Rogers Rollins, and he will roll his way back to the sidelines because he did his job and much more. However, can the offense finally do its job? It's been a close game. Haven't been seeing any explosive plays for Washington until right now. Jason Smith, 60 yards to the house. And the Washington Huskies will take the lead again here with 4 minutes left in the third quarter of action. And that leads us into the fourth quarter now. Still a 7-point game. Virginia Tech looking to tie, throwing to the right-hand side. He's got a dot to Nick Harrell, a 29-yard touchdown. And it might be a Micah Barbour show, as Barbour, he's been nearly perfect today, 16 for 17. Maybe they look to him to pass his football a little bit more. But Washington, we know what they want to do. They're trying to take the ball the air out of the football, and they're going to do that and a lot more down the sideline. One man could catch him, but he can't in time. Adrian Nicholas runs away from the Hokie defense. And if Washington wins, this could be considered the dagger of the game, as Adrian Nicholas. How about Jason Smith, by the way? After he pitches the ball, he sets a pretty crucial block, actually. Shout out to the quarterbacks to being tough enough to be willing to do that. Don't see a lot of quarterbacks doing that nowadays. Many coaches don't like to see quarterbacks doing that. But why am I showing special teams? Well, something is about to go down, and something surely could be going down here as he's taking the ball down the sideline. Nick Harrell, who had that big score earlier on offense, will gives Virginia Tech some great field position to work with, and they'll look to take full advantage as a minute later, Barbour, all the time in the world, he's going to scramble. Nobody there to spy on him. He runs through one defender. Couldn't do it for a second, but it's an 18-yard run, setting up 1st and goal. And now, a couple plays later, Barbour trying to scramble again. He somehow gets out of all that. Are you kidding me right now? Michael Barbour is certified him. Barbour with a critical rushing touchdown. Now the defense needs to do the job and get the ball back to this Virginia Tech team, which they do. And less than 3 minutes left, they drive downfield, get the field goal. So it is very likely that we will get overtime here once again. And let's see what we can get here in overtime. Virginia Tech was able to get a field goal in the first overtime, but Jason Smith doesn't want this game to go any longer. And they're going to finish the season on a high note as Washington is going to walk it off, literally, with their star quarterback, Justin Smith, who runs it into the end zone and gives the Huskies a 3-point win, 33-30, and really became a much more electric game in the fourth quarter. Man, was this something to watch. But how about these two teams as surprises? Both one-star programs coming into the year. They should be getting more respect in the offseason for sure. This is the Cheez-It Bowl that has the Golden Hurricanes of Tulsa taking on the Wolfpack of NC State. Two teams that, like I said earlier, were pleasant surprises here in the year 2 NCSL regular season. So we'll see who finishes it truly on a high note. It looks like NC State coming out more ready to play initially, as Quinn Smith is going to be able to get the interception there. So here we are late in the first half. NC State with a chance to extend the lead. We'll see what they can do, as they're just going to steadily move this ball downfield. They got 2 timeouts. Plenty of time in the college game as well. Jay Thomas with a 17-yard reception there too. Blake Fountain looking for a big drive. He's had 2 interceptions, but looking to redeem himself down here in Orlando, Florida. This could be the throw that he's talking about, and he's going to get it. He is going to get it to Tyrion Cunningham, and NC State will extend the lead going in to the half. But still a close, low-scoring game. A game that could go in either direction, as Tulsa quarterback Mike Battle does not waste time. He'll give Tulsa the lead, and they'll try for the 2-point conversion, which they will also get as well, courtesy of Kevin Young. So we'll see what North Carolina State has in mind now, as we'll see Blake Fountain line up under center. They try to run the fake pitch, but it does not go anywhere, as Andrew Jenkins gets dropped in the backfield by Dylan Hall. So now, 3rd and short coming up, as Fountain again trying to run the ball on the option, and if only Blake Fountain could run faster than molasses, he would have had a touchdown there. Instead, he does end up getting caught from behind, but right before we got into the end of the 3rd quarter, Andrew Jenkins will run it into the end zone. So the Wolfpack have the lead, but the Golden Hurricanes looking to change that, as they'll throw over to the left-hand side and finds Derek Alexander for the short reception that will indeed make this a goal line situation, as Mike Battle looking to drop back again, looks over the middle and finds Rob Keys for yet another touchdown. And Tulsa looking to finish the deal as well. Under 3 minutes to go. Looking for the dagger. No! It's not the dagger that they're looking for. This could be danger the other way. As that was a huge play for the North Carolina State secondary. Jason Mosley might have saved North Carolina State's game, but their offense couldn't do the same. They do literally nothing. Tulsa, however, will be winning the Cheez-Its Bowl here tonight. But now we go out to the Independence Bowl, I believe. This is LSU, ranked number 24 in the country. Well, they will be taking on Washington State out of the Pac-12. And Washington State looking to show that we can upset the number 24 team in America, as Chris Martin got his hands on the ball there for the interception, which means still no scoring to this point. It took us an entire quarter for us to actually see some points being scored. We will end up doing that with LSU getting that touchdown early in the second quarter. But maybe that was all that LSU needed to feel good about themselves, to find some confidence, because they really start rolling after that. LSU going to make this a 17-0 lead, as Darren Weatherford was just able to leak out of the backfield. Had no problems there whatsoever. And so a 17-0 lead here for LSU, and they're going to look to build upon this lead as well. How about this for a big time run? Darren Weatherford hasn't really gotten the ball much, and when he has, he hasn't been the most effective. Only 3.5 yards a carry, so Washington State being a little bit difficult, but now we're going to start to get Darren Weatherford to get going a little bit more here. We'll see if they hand him the ball one more time in the pistol, and sure enough, Weatherford stiffs arms away from 1 DB. That was all that he needed to do, make a guy miss, and he'll find himself in the end zone yet again. LSU up big here, 24-0. But Washington State will not be shut out in this game. They refuse to allow that to happen this time around, as Washington State will finally get that ugly goose egg off the scoreboard. They will choose to go for the 2-point conversion as well. A free rusher, and I'm surprised they didn't count that as a 2-point conversion. I thought Arthur Harrison was in the end zone there, but the refs disagreed. Could have been a call that Washington State Cougars fans don't necessarily agree with. Maybe it's that Southern football bias. LSU not in the SEC in this geographically realigned universe. They're actually members of the Sun Belt, or the Fun Belt as some would passionately like to call it. But Washington State is trying to work itself back into the game, as they're going to try to make this a 10-point difference. Going for the 2-point conversion yet again, and this time it is no doubt that this one was successful. So a 10-point game, but Washington State needs to keep them out of the end zone, because if they stretch this out to a free possession game, then we could very well be looking at barbecue chicken. 24-14 still your score, as Rogers is going to just run it to the outside, and play Rogers, nobody touches him, so hey, I'll just take it in myself. You're going to worry about the rest of my teammates a little bit more, and LSU does that. They'll get a 31-14 lead off of it before they wrap it up, trying to get some style points to end the year. Darren Weatherford, he'll find the end zone for the second time today. But Washington State didn't take too kindly to that. They're going to drive down the field themselves, and Jake Avery is going to almost get into the end zone there. Again, thought he got in there, but they will be marked down at the 1-yard line, or like the 1-inch line, whatever you like to call it. Julius Jones is going to run over some people with some authority, so some garbage time points happening here. Luckily, we don't worry about over-unders here for LSU Washington State, but I'm sure there's some virtual characters that are not excited that the over is getting hit at the last moment because of its garbage time scoring. But LSU is going to win here, finishing off a top 25 season. But now we go into University of Louisiana Monroe, taking on the Cougars of Houston. And the Warhawks actually snuck themselves into the top 25 here, as they are now ranked literally number 25 in the country. But they're taking on a solid football team in the Houston Cougars. Haven't seen ULM on national TV that much, so let's see if they can make their presence felt and make their presence known as well. We'll see what we got going on here. Houston. I don't know where the heck I got Florida from, but got a good game between these two teams, though. I'll tell you what, as Houston and ULM, they are in a close fight that we might not forget anytime soon. Houston gonna get it down to inside the 5-yard line, sets him up for a 3rd and short. It looks like this is gonna be a free play, and that free play could be turning into a touchdown. And yes, it is. It is going to be an offsides. The penalty will be declined. And we got a tie ball game, at least going into the half. But Houston trying to pull away, but the Warhawks will not allow them to, though. ULM, led by Kevin Watson. Well, he's going to have this passing touchdown, and that passing touchdown will give them an extended school record for most in a season, beating out Colton Browning, who had the record since 1993. He's the best quarterback that the Warhawks have ever had. Step onto their campus, and he is not going to stop. Less than 3 minutes left to play. His team down by 4. Big players make big-time plays in the big moments of the season, and this is a big one for ULM right now as they finish that drive off with a touchdown. But can they keep Houston out of field goal range? They only need a couple of first downs before field goals are possible, and they might be looking for more than a field goal as he was wide but naked open. Brad Nugent with a 49-yard reception. They're on the ball quickly. Less than a minute left. They don't use a timeout. They go quarterback draw, rumbling and stumbling into a goal line situation now. 1st and goal, less than 50 seconds left. Who wants it more? Pitch play to the right-hand side, and Dante Sims scores. Touchdown, Houston. And the Cougars take the lead. So it's back in the hands of Kevin Watson. ULM still got 3 timeouts left. They're going to dump it off short to the receiver, and they will use a timeout, but not before picking up 12 on that play. Good pacing for ULM so far. They're not freaking out yet. Watson, he's going to take this one himself. Gets away from a couple of defenders. He's got speed too and gets out of bounds too. That's going to help save some time off the clock. And they don't have to use a timeout either. That really is critical for ULM. And so is this throw to Brent Graham. A 27-yard reception, which now makes it 1st and goal. 1 timeout, running the ball. And nobody is there to guard Brad Bell. Touchdown, Warhawks. And the Warhawks take the lead again. And here we go, 41-38. But Houston drives down the field. It's going to come down to a field goal. And it's good. The field goal is good. So we're going to overtime in what has been an absolutely electric Texas Bowl between these two teams. Now, here we are in overtime as Houston gets the ball first to start this game. And you can tell the Warhawk front 7 is just starting to get worn down right now, because that is an awful piece of tackling on Dante Sims, who now is over 120 yards on the day. We're going to build off of it, but instead it's a pass play to the right-hand side to Cody Paul, and Houston is going to score 4th passing touchdown of the game, by the way. 4th one. You love to see it. But here we go. The Warhawks, they need an answer. Facing a situation here, a long throw. And looks like it's going to be over. I'm surprised the DB just doesn't straight up go down there. But it's over. Houston is going to win 48-41. And I'll have to tell you what, this bowl game was the most exciting one I've seen, at least so far. But up next, we have Texas Tech taking on the Tigers of Missouri out in the Armed Forces Bowl as we jump right into that opening drive of the game. Texas Tech looking to get things going. A nice throw early on to Josh Ostrander with a nice 7-yard reception. But what's unique about Texas Tech, unlike many teams in the country with many of these coaches now being not custom coaches, but CPU generated coaches, I should say. They run some no huddle, and Texas Tech likes to go fast. They go so fast that Missouri has no time to react. Lionel Howard's going to ultimately get a touchdown on the board. And early on, Missouri really struggling with that no huddle offense, as Texas Tech, for a lot of this first half, they were doing whatever they really wanted to do. But Missouri is going to make things a little bit better on themselves before we get into halftime. We'll see Missouri get into the end zone to cut this thing down to 11 points. But the Tigers do have some work to do if they want to come back and win this game. And starts with shutting down the Texas Tech offense. Here we are in the third quarter, as we'll go and see a really good run here by Gerald Presley. He was backing up Cornelius Graves, who's now off to the NFL. But here we are, first and goal, getting his guys back in place once again. He'll take some time, though, to look over to the sideline to confirm the play. Looking, Presley has all the time in the world, throws to the right-hand side and finds his man in the end zone. Touchdown, Red Rebels. And Texas Tech with a commanding lead of 28-10. And we only have about a quarter of action left. So a lot of work to do for Missouri. They need nothing short of a miracle to win this game. First play of the fourth quarter, though, Patrick James does indeed find the end zone for Missouri. So it is a 12-point difference now between these two teams. However, 28-16 your score, as we got some movement here. Jake Lewis is going to put the ball on the ground, so the 2-point conversion is no good. Hopefully that doesn't haunt them, as instead of needing a touchdown, a field goal, they will need 2 touchdowns now. So the clock now working a little bit more against them in this bowl game. Missouri, however, does get it into another goal line situation. This is to cut it to within 5. They run the option. They go, no, there's no pitch. Jake Lewis is going to take it in himself. I'm shocked. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than it is to be good, because I thought that was going to be an absolute disaster. Thankfully, that disaster was indeed avoided, though. And not only that, the Tigers got a chance to somehow win this game. 1 minute left to play, and Jake Lewis gonna check it down, and he's got his tight end, who's not choosing to go down anytime soon. Andrew Walker turns that into a 17-yard reception. But here we go, 48 seconds left. They're in the red zone again. Lewis facing pressure, looks over the middle, doesn't break the tackle, but the double Thomas picks up the first down, and now it's a goal line situation. However, penalties make it 3rd and long, though. Lewis needs a big time throw over the middle, and it's going to be denied. Darren Barrett is left short, and Missouri is going to go for it. This is for the game. Texas Tech or Missouri, who wants it more? Lewis drops back, and it's caught! Steve Stanley is going to score for Missouri. Touchdown, Tigers. They'll even go for the 2-point conversion just to be safe. Don't want to risk it for the biscuit. And they don't get the 2-point conversion, but Missouri still wins at the very last second. And Missouri wins by 1. So an electric game in the Armed Forces Bowl as we now go into the LA Bowl between the Wildcats of Arizona and the Bears of California. So we'll jump right into the action as Arizona up 7-0 already. Two teams that, again, were part of the same conference once upon a time, but realignment did move Arizona over to the Mountain West. So here we are, Cal and Arizona still locked into a close one, as Cal is going to tie things up late in the first quarter of action. We'll see who wants this LA Bowl win more, as Arizona down by a field goal now, but they have the ball here with 2.5 minutes left. Quarterback technically never goes down. Refs will eventually blow it dead, but good run there by Kenan Rollins. We'll see if he uses those legs a little bit more, because he's sneaky athletic, but no need to use the legs when you got a receiver open like this. Ryan Little is going to score for the Wildcats. Touchdown, Arizona. And that Arizona Wildcats team out of the Mountain West, they will take the lead on California but it doesn't last too long. And in the third quarter, Cal looking to retake the lead. Got all day to throw. Looks over to that left-hand side, and Lamar Cox doesn't need to be cocky on that one. He'll score for California, but it's still a close one either way. Cal, Arizona, in a tight one in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, and it looks to be a photo finish in SoFi Stadium, one of the more beautiful stadiums in the country. Is now second and goal coming up. Cal looking over to the left-hand side and finds Gerald Allen to try to put Arizona away. But the Wildcats, they'll drive right down the field. They need a score in the worst play. Kenyon Rawlings, all by himself, slides down and gets inside the 5-yard line. Great run by the Wildcats quarterback. Can they score yet again? And they go to the fullback, Wendell Alvarez. And Alvarez makes it a field goal game once more. So here we are, 24-21 is your score. Could go either direction right now. Arizona out of timeout, so if they don't score on this drive, it's going to be barbecue chicken. We got a 5-wide set for Kenyon Rawlings. He's going to throw over the middle. He's got an open receiver in Brent Alston. Alston picks up 16 on that particular catch right there. But now looking at a 3rd and 6 as Rawlings again throws to the right-hand side. Beautiful throw to Wendell Alvarez to make it a red zone situation. And to win the game, they do! James Harris with the 10 toes down movement. Oh, man, that is a dot. And Arizona beats California in the last second, 28-24 in the LA Bowl. But now we got UTEP taking on number 11 Hawaii, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Looking for that 10-win season. We'll see if we can get just that here in the Alamo Bowl, as UTEP not messing around and playing any games either. UTEP might have been a team that should have been ranked in the top 25, and they were late in the season. But then the Hawaii offense happens, and this is why they're here, except there's almost a catastrophic error. Joe Perry thankfully there to get that fumble. George Gentry, one of your guys' custom coaches, really hitting a sigh of relief there. He's the offensive coordinator here at Hawaii. First year as an FBS caliber coach. Is now Gentry's cooking up a nice 2-minute drill right now, as Tony Hill is going to pick up a nice 14 yards there. We'll see if they extend this lead to a 14-7 affair. Going to the right-hand side, and Sam Hickman is going to score for the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii. Travis Anderson leading a phenomenal 2-minute drill. But UTEP isn't done. They want to answer right back, and it might not take very long to do that, as TC Ingraham with a nice reception there. UTEP did not pass the ball very much here in the first half of action at all whatsoever. Antonio Johnson, he's going to get a big-time reception here as well. Hawaii giving up a lot of space on the outside, and this is going to hurt them on this throw, and it's over. AJ Henry is going to score for UTEP. Joe Roberts shows that, hey, we may be run heavy, but we could toss it around too, as he sets a school record for most passing touchdowns in a season, originally set by Trevor Vitito back in 08. So 14-all here with 20 seconds left. George Gentry still choosing to be aggressive. That's a huge throw there down the sideline to Matt Clemens, and they're going to rush right back to the line of scrimmage. 12 seconds left. What does Hawaii end up cooking up? Looks like it's going to be just a 5-man front, so they're going to run the ball, as there was nobody there for Joe Perry to run through. So Hawaii gets another score, and the Hawaii offense showing that it can wake up after a first quarter or so, because in this second half, Rainbow Warriors are going to go off here. Joe Perry's going to get a 13-yard run, making another goal line situation, and then Travis Anderson, the star quarterback of this team, 5-wide set. He's just going to run it in himself. That's a touchdown for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. They'll get another one on the scoreboard there, and Hawaii just dominates this second half, showing why they are indeed the number 11 team in the country. This was actually a team, you guys, that was getting some college football playoff consideration. They were in that wild card poll. They ultimately went with a couple of other teams, but Hawaii does win big here in the Alamo Bowl. And now we proceed to move towards I believe this is the Guaranteed Rate Bowl between North Texas and the Michigan State Spartans. Should be an interesting one, as we haven't had a chance to watch North Texas all season long, but Mean Green got themselves a mean streak to them, no pun intended whatsoever. I pinky promise on that, but North Texas is a solid team going 8-4 and showing why they're 8-4 as they're going to get the interception here on the opening drive, then proceed to score on their opening drive as well. Ian Williams punching it in. So North Texas clearly showing that they did come ready to play here in this Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and that is going to continue as Jeremy Johnson able to get the 10 toes down moving to happen right here, right now, making that catch happen. And then later on in the drive, we'll see a not a touchdown, a last-second interception. Oh, Michigan State really needed that in the worst way, because their offense struggling against North Texas defense. Didn't have that on the NCSL bingo card here in bingos in bowl season, but here we are, barbecue on the titties. AJ Small leading North Texas down the field once again. We'll see if he can avoid turning the football over down here in the red zone, as well as AJ Small just going to play it safe. He's going to just run a little speed option to the right-hand side and using that core strength of his to find the end zone. So North Texas up 14-0 on the Spartans. Wow, this is a little bit of a surprise. North Texas showing that, hey, you need to put a little bit more respect on our names right now. But Michigan State looking to score, and they finally do with a minute left here in the ball game. Tommy Adams making that happen, but doesn't leave a little bit too much time for the Mean Green, though, as AJ Small has some time, throws over to the right-hand side, and that's a first down for the Mean Green. But they will go to their no huddle. Couple plays later, though, Small dropping back, looks over the middle, it's got a receiver. That's another first down, this time going to Stephen Williams for the 13-yard reception. He's having a big first half so far. 4 catches, 74 yards. He's been balling out, coming from Ball So Hard University. But they'll go to their no huddle quickly as AJ Small looking for a throw down the left-hand side, and Scott Spencer able to reel that one in. So now the Mean Green are in field goal range, but they're thinking of so much more. 1st and 10. Small making a big throw. Touchdown, Mean Green. J.R. Robertson with an 11-yard strike to end the first half and putting Michigan State on full red alert right now. This North Texas team balling out. And late in the third quarter, Michigan State just needs something good to happen their way right now. Michigan State's going to score, and the Spartans are right back in the game, courtesy of Jonas Whitlock with the touchdown. So 21-14 now your score, but North Texas wants to win this bowl game, finish off an incredible season by North Texas standards. AJ Small gonna punch it in there, and they continue to grow the lead, 30-14. Looks like it's going to be an impressive win for North Texas, but at least Michigan State fights to the bitter end. And actually, if they get this 2-point conversion, things can get very interesting very fast all of a sudden. And sure enough, with that 2-point conversion, they're actually going to get it. Matt Lewis will get the 2-point conversion. They try the onside kick. It doesn't work. So North Texas will end up surviving, winning by 8 there. So that now takes us down to the Tony the Tiger Bowl as Oregon is taking on the University of North Carolina. These are two teams that started the season out ranked in the top 25, but both of them were disappointments if we're being honest. So we'll see how this game turns out. It's a very competitive game, at least early on. We'll see if that holds out for all 4 quarters. But that being considered, get a nice run here over to the right-hand side for Lee Pierce. Lee Pierce is going to find the end zone there for Oregon, as the Ducks will end up taking a 21-10 lead. Well, North Carolina fights back as they get back to within 4, but Oregon's run game in full effect here. Did not think I would say that. Oregon traditionally likes to air the ball out a little bit more, but, being a little bit more patient with Montrell Hawkins under center, the FCS transfer out of Eastern Kentucky. For those of you that are that been around since the FCS Dynasty, he is from that Dynasty file, by the way, as Montrell Hawkins just runs right through a defender and gives Oregon a touchdown. 28-17 your score, as the Oregon Ducks will extend their lead, and they're going to be looking to try to put this game away, possibly 35-17 in the fourth quarter. Could that be enough to get the job done and win this Tony the Tiger Bowl game? I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, but we will see David Miller find the end zone for the Oregon Ducks there. That will make that 35-17 happen. And now North Carolina is scrambling right now. They desperately need points, and they'll need them fast. They go with a quarterback draw. Did not expect that coming here in the fourth quarter. Figured we would just see a complete abandonment of the running game, but that doesn't happen. In fact, they continue to lean on it as Andy Jackson is going to score for North Carolina, and we'll see what they'll do with a 2-point conversion. Matter of fact, they will indeed make this 2-point conversion happen. North Carolina to make this a 10-point game, and it's not completed. Danny Bates had a receiver, but he just could not get open soon enough. So down by 12. But Oregon forced the punt, so North Carolina driving down the field once again. Field goals will not help them at this point. However, Christian Ostrander with nearly 100 receiving yards now, but less than 3 minutes to go. Running over to the right-hand side, North Carolina is going to score once again. Andy Jackson punching it in for the Tar Heels. They choose to kick it off after this, and it doesn't work. Oregon's going to win the Tony the Tiger Bowl game 35-30. Been a fun one to watch. But now we go over to the Music City Bowl between two teams that would be traditionally considered Group of Five. South Alabama taking on the Akron Zips, and Akron was that team that beat Ohio State, so there's something to consider there. We'll see if both teams can put together a good game here today, as South Alabama and Akron getting it together here for the Music City Bowl. And it looks like we got an early rhythm here for South Alabama, as Michael Johnson will run it in himself using that elite frame for a quarterback. And so South Alabama with the 7-3 lead and continuing to run it in with Michael Johnson. And South Alabama now with a 14-3 lead. So South Alabama looking really good here in the Music City Bowl. So good that in the last 30 seconds of the half, they have another really good drive coming together. Michael Johnson just doing a beautiful job of directing this offense. You really love to see it, as Michael Johnson taking off again. He'll just slide down, though, right in front of the linebacker. There will be no Kenny Pickett trickery, at least here right now. Goal line situation, they go into the no huddle. Johnson choosing to scramble once again and finds his way into the end zone for the third time today already. Michael Johnson will score for the University of South Alabama, and USA looking to get Akron to feel the blues for sure, as another touchdown here could probably put this game away here in the third quarter, as Akron just has not seen a pulse that you would think you would see from a team that beats someone that's going to the college football playoff. To remind everybody, this is a team that is literally, they beat a team that is going to the college football playoff, and here they are against a 7-5 South Alabama team, and they are getting absolutely ramsacked. They're getting absolutely bamboozled, flabbergasted. It's been a rough day for the Akron Zips, and it's not going to get much better as we progress through this game, as Michael Johnson is just going to take this right down memory lane for yet another touchdown, and he'll set a school record in the bowl game. Michael Johnson, most rushing touchdowns in a single game, originally set by Xavier Johnson. And South Alabama winning big against Akron because of that. Jaguars win 45-17. As now we jump into the Liberty Bowl between Arkansas State and the Bears of Baylor. Baylor used to be ranked in the top 25. Arkansas State, I think, was ranked in the top 25 to begin the season as well, but That's not what we see here. Baylor is going to take the lead, however. They will take a 7-0 lead here in this one. But we don't get a lot of highlights from this particular game. But Baylor does end up winning 43-21, however. But what we do get a lot of highlights of is this First Responders Bowl between Clemson and Rice. Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Clemson and Rice are both ranked in the top 20. Rice was a team that almost made it to the they almost made it to the Big 12 championship game. They couldn't get the job done against Texas. That was kind of a divisional final. Clemson, however, is coming in red hot right now. Clemson, a team that did win the ACC championship. They're on a nice little winning streak. I think it's like a 4-5 game winning streak right now. So, really good game. I'm really excited about this game. And so is the Rice Owls to get things going, as Rice will have the opening salvo here in the First Responders Bowl, as Jeff Felix just puts it right on the money. That's a 65-yard touchdown to begin the game. And Rice certainly came out ready to play in this one for sure. We'll see how Clemson answers back as they'll check in on their first drive of the game. Going with a little option over the left-hand side. Breaks a couple of tackles. Some nice running there by Daniel Lawson, though, as that will get him into Rice territory. We'll see what Clemson does with it, as this Clemson quarterback trying to scramble out, but Charles Ernst, he had nowhere to go. He had absolutely nowhere to go whatsoever, so it makes it a little bit harder on third down. 3rd and 6, matter of fact. Looking to throw over the middle of the field. He's got an open receiver. Darren Smith for a huge big-time catch. I don't know how you let somebody that open to actually get open, but here we are trying to throw for the end zone. And that, kids, is why you got to set your feet before you throw that ball. Because Jared Carter got an easy interception right here. We'll take a look at the replay real fast. Not sure what Adrian Davidson was looking at. He probably would have been better off trying to scramble with his feet, but chose not to do that, although Rice doesn't do anything after the turnover, so no harm, no foul. Clemson will, while they were delayed in doing so, they will end up tying this game still, if that makes any type of sense, right? So, jumping into the second quarter, though, we still have a tied game, and Clemson might get their first lead as they do recover the fumble, but they don't move anywhere with it. If there was a cleaner scoop and score, that could have been a touchdown for Clemson, but Tigers will have to work for it a little bit more with their actual offense instead. But first and goal, that shouldn't be an issue, though, as their quarterback, Adrian Davidson, will punch it in themselves. That is a touchdown for the Clemson Tigers. So Clemson will take the lead 14-7. It is the first lead that Clemson has here in the First Responders Bowl as well. However, Rice will not go down lightly. They've had their fair share of adversity this season, and Jeff Felix keeps them right in the game. Huge throw that puts them inside the 5-yard line, and Jeff Felix will try to finish this as well. A little bit of confusion on the handoff, but somehow turning lemons into lemonade, though. That should have been a big loss for the Rice Owls offensively, as you just didn't wrap up. You couldn't wrap it up, so you got a Rice touchdown instead. So tie ball game here midway through the second quarter. Still could go either way in this one, and Daniel Lawson looking to make sure that Clemson takes an advantage into the halftime locker room. Davidson dropping back a couple plays later. Is going to try to scramble upfield. Breaks away from one tackle. Gets away from a second. A little bit of space on the right-hand side. And Charles Ernst is the backup quarterback because Adrian Davidson actually got hurt off screen. Well, he makes the most of his opportunity. He's going to score for Clemson. We'll see if he remains in the game. And it looks like he does for Clemson. And he does a pretty good job running the offense. Is this what the future of Clemson football could possibly be looking like? Because if so, then maybe the Tigers have a lot to be excited about going into year number 3. We'll have to maybe dive into that a little bit more in the off-season video that you'll see a couple of videos from now. But Clemson extending their lead, making it 28-14. So Jeff Felix really got to show up here in this second half. Gotta get this offense going once again, because Ever since we got into the halftime locker room, Rice's offense has just absolutely sputtered. There hasn't really been much movement for Rice's offense, but we get a change with Kyle Wright with a 32-yard reception. Touchdown, Rice. And the Owls get yet another one up on the scoreboard again. Nice touchdown throw, by the way. So now 28-21 now as Rice will look to tie here late in the third quarter. Good run for Brandon Richardson. And we truly do have an exciting football game on our hands right now. We go into the fourth quarter of action, setting up the halfback screen. It seems to be set up pretty well. Breaks the tackle, still on his feet, and eventually will go down inside the 15-yard line. Rice needs this touchdown, and they need it bad. Trying to set up the option over to the right-hand side. Jeff Fielducks wants to be a winner, and he is. Jeff Fielducks will score for the Rice Owls, and it's a tied ball game. With 8 minutes left to play in the ball game, we got ourselves a classic in the First Responders Bowl as well. I told you in the title, Bowl Mania goes completely wild. I was not joking with you guys at all. This has been a wild bowl season. It's going to continue with the backup quarterback, Charles Ernst, getting into about midfield. So Clemson only needs like 10, 15 more yards before they get into field goal range. This run could do it. Daniel Lawson could be in the effective field goal range for this Clemson kicker, and they will drive it a little bit closer to be safe, but the kick is up. It's good. Clemson will score and take the lead with 5:30 left to play, but Rice still has a shot to win it. Dropping back, looks over the middle, finds a receiver, and Jeff Fielducks moves the chains for a first down. Michael Montgomery keeps it moving for now. Third and long coming up, though. Doing a pump fake. Gonna throw again over the right-hand side, but throws it late. It has been jumped on, and Clemson will look like they are going to be your winners of the First Responders Bowl. Keith Coleman with the game-winning interception, it looks like, unless there is a miracle. But there will be no such miracle, as Clemson will notch their 11th win of the year, beating Rice 31-28 here in the First Responders Bowl. However, Rice does end up losing their fourth game, getting to 9-4. Still a good year, though. But the best game that we certainly have here in Bowl Mania season, outside of college football playoff, is the Cheez-Its Citrus Bowl. The Citrus Bowl is presented by also Cheez-Its, not to be confused with the Cheez-Its Bowl that we did end up seeing earlier in bowl season action. It's going to be number 9 Alabama taking on number 8 Texas. Both teams very close to making it into the college football playoff, but there will be no cigars. Texas, I know, is feeling some type of way with Minnesota, of all teams, getting in over Texas, even though Texas has only lost one singular game the entire season. But that one loss did come out late, and it was to an unranked team, so that certainly was going to hurt them whether they liked it or not. It was a blowout to UTEP, by the way, 49-21 for those that were interested in that. But Texas is going to take that pain and misery out on Alabama. It looks like they're ready to do just that, as Texas will take the lead 7-0. Took a quarter to do it, but we do finally see some scoring here in the Citrus Bowl, percentage by Citrus, by Cheez-Its. Curtis Lesto will score for Alabama. You want to talk about guys that could have first-round talent with the physical tools. Curtis Lesto, certainly a quarterback to look at for those that are paying attention to the Madden Dynasty that is going to be connected to the NCSL series. This could be a player that could see. And speaking of guys we could see in the NFL, Chase Ingram took over as starting quarterback after Adam Allen moved on to the NFL. He's making some big-time throws this year. It really is a shame that Texas is not in the college football playoff, but you know, it is what it is sometimes, and the conference was also not good enough to get an automatic bid, so you do hate to see that. However, Alabama still keeping it close with the Longhorns here. Got a close one here in the Citrus Bowl as we get midway through the third quarter. That run does just make it a 3-point game, but Texas is going to just keep coming with these big throws. down the sideline. Here we go. Another big throw. It is going to be a touchdown for Texas. Walter Sims with a 74-yard reception. This one being thrown by Jason Adams. I guess Chase Ingram got hurt off screen, but Jason Adams throwing this ball right on the money. Oh, baby, that's a good throw. So now, late in the third quarter, Texas looking to finish the job. Adams still in the game, so I wonder if we're just seeing Chase Ingram have his curtain call. Don't know what's going to happen to him, if he's going to the NFL or what's going to happen to him. I think he's draft eligible, but you really never know with the NCAA 14 logic. But 31-14 in favor of Texas, as Curtis West going to try to lead his guys back. That's a good throw down the sideline to Ryan Steffens. That will be good for a 26-yard reception. Curtis West going to need to put those throws together. He's going to need to put them together quickly. But they choose to halfback draw it, though. That's Dane Taylor with a 10-yard run. So that sets him up for a goal line situation at least. But Curtis West still got to get him into the end zone. Field goals won't help Alabama at this point in the game. So, I mean, they just got to go balls to the walls at this point. As even with this Curtis West touchdown, they're only going to be up by 10 singular points. So, there's certainly not that much of a difference at all. And they don't do that. Instead, Texas will actually get some style points to end the game, as David Massey is going to be the one to punch this ball into the end zone for the Texas Longhorns. They'll make this a 38-21 victory here in the Citrus Bowl, presented by Cheez-Its, as the Texas Longhorns prove that, hey, we are feeling some type of way of being left out of this college football playoff. Now, that being said, we have a few more bowl games left. We now have Florida State taking on the Red Hawks of Miami. This is the Outback Bowl that these two teams will be playing each other in, as Florida State will look to get things started with a touchdown of their own, as Florida State does have the better team on paper, but in my opinion, I think the Miami Redhawks have the better uniforms on paper. So can the swag outduel the talent that Florida State has? That's going to be the million-dollar question here in this Outback Bowl, and it seems like Florida State, they're going to play their typical game, you know, be that team that's going to take the air out of the football. They're a team that runs that spread option type of system, kind of the triple option with more spacing kind of deal, as they will go back to that option play. Jack Rowe trying to punch it in, and he does. Florida State extends their lead against the Red Hawks, and Miami not looking good so far, even though they will get a touchdown on the board. Can they hold Florida State to no points on this drive, so that didn't go into the halftime locker room with a one-score difference? Got 1 minute left in this game as we're down to 2 timeouts. Rowe's going to throw over the middle, finds his receiver, Kevin Brown, who's just going to take the first down and get his guys to the line quickly. We'll see if Jack Rowe continues to sling it, and he will indeed sling it. He's going to run upfield across the 35-yard line as Rowe slides down, but they want to save that timeout in case they want to settle for a field goal. So the Seminoles will go no huddle for the first time today. Rowe looks over the middle once again. It's another first down for Florida State. Going back to Kevin Brown, who gets a 20-yard reception. He is cooking the Miami secondary on this drive. Do they go back to Kevin Brown a third time? Rowe fires, and it's caught. This one by Jimmy Wright, and Florida State will score before we go into the halftime locker room. And it was all Florida State from there, as the Seminoles dominating the second half of action right there. Ryan Jones will score for Florida State, making it 31-10 there. And then same quarter, they run the ball yet again for Ryan Jones. It's another score for the Seminoles, as Florida State dominates the Outback Bowl, beating Miami of Ohio 38-10 in this one. A great game for the Seminoles. But now we have Coastal Carolina taking on the Temple Owls in a battle of 7 and 5 teams. Temple being the former stopping place for defensive coordinator Jake Jacobs, one of your custom coaches who now is at TCU at that same spot. Not in bowl season, by the way, so make of that what you wish. But here we are in the Tax Slater Gator Bowl as Coastal Carolina looking to go to work, and he's going to certainly go to work. There is Reggie Holycross with a 43-yard touchdown to try to end this first half. Coastal Carolina trying to keep the Temple Owls at bay, and they certainly are doing a pretty good job of that right now as we jump into that second half of action. So we do hope to see a little bit more scoring here in this second half in particular, as we do go to a 1st and goal situation. Coastal Carolina trying to extend the lead, as that's some good running there by Ernest Miller. He's got the ball 7 times, so not a big workload by any means, but he's made the most of it, and he'll even include a touchdown there as well. Now Coastal Carolina extend this lead here in the Gator Bowl. So the Temple offense needs to do something, and they'll need to do something quickly as well, as Temple is down by 2 scores. Less than 9 minutes left in the game as well. They just keep going to that ground game. Ground and pound they trust. Mark Lewis is going to make this much more manageable. 3rd down for Temple here, as they need to punch it into the end zone. Going back to the run game, and it's going to be Lance Landrum, the backup tailback, who will score for Temple to make things interesting, but Coastal Carolina will hold them off as they win by 10 in the Tax Slater Gator Bowl. And now we have only 2 more bowl games left on the docket. One of them being Iowa taking on the Nevada Wolfpack. Iowa coming in 8 and 4. They narrowly missed out on the American Conference Championship game, but they'll take on a Nevada team, which is actually a pretty good football team. They were like ranked, they're like 90s overall, like low 90s. This is a quality football team in Nevada. Their strength of schedule is just pretty tough this year. That's how they only managed to eke out 6 wins in spite of that. But Nevada is taking that out on Iowa, as the Iowa Hawkeyes are actually struggling to keep up with Nevada, even though this isn't the most high-scoring game that we are going to see. Nevada will have a 3-point lead for the time being, as the Wolfpack drop back to pass, looks over the middle to Brian Coleman, and Coleman will pick up a gain of 6 there, as Nevada looks to finish the job here with 7 minutes left in the game. Going to the ground once more. The running back continuing to keep his feet forward is Carl Johnson. Carl Johnson is going to get a nice chunk of yardage there. You absolutely love to see that for sure. As speaking of that running game, well, Brian Coleman's going to score there. It might have been a passing touchdown, so we don't know what we're talking about. But I do know that we will see Iowa get back into this game with 4 minutes left in the ball game. So Iowa's still not done yet. They are not done with this game, at least not yet. 21-24 here in a critical bowl game. Dropping back. Quarterback's got all day to throw. Nevada only sends 4 as well, and Iowa's going to score. Nick Archie with possibly the game-winning touchdown, and it is. Iowa's going to win 28-24, even though Nevada dominated the total yards today. So the one last bowl game that we happen to have here today is the Lending Tree Bowl. That is Northern Illinois taking on the Auburn Tigers. Auburn spent some time in and out of the top 25. Well, Northern Illinois was a team that had a chance to go and play in the MAC championship, but could not finish the deal. One reason why Northern Illinois was so successful this year was Jermaine Keys. He has 41 passing touchdowns, even more on the ground. It's a unique style because they like to run that triple option. Oh, Jermaine Keys fumbles it at the 1-yard line. Oh, no. Thomas Hammock Jr., the offensive coordinator, one of your custom coaches, he must be sick right now. You absolutely hate to see that, because this could have easily been 10-0. NIU, of course, getting a field goal off screen. But I don't expect this NIU defense to hold Auburn back forever. In less than 3 minutes left in a 3rd and goal situation, throwing out the middle is Kyle Berry, and Auburn is going to score. So Auburn actually will take the lead here as Northern Illinois just trying to keep it all nice and tied up. It looks like they will, as their tailback Corey Moore will run it in. Nobody accounting for the running back in the triple option. But Auburn looking to retake the lead as we'll get a big time throw down the left hand side. Oh my, not only does he mosses the defender, he tells that same defender, "Get off me, little boy," on his way to a 57-yard touchdown. Absolutely embarrassing. If you're the DB, you might want to stay off social media for a little bit after that one. But Northern Illinois trying to tie the game as Jermaine Keys is going to try to drop back and pass here, but throwing that ball up into double coverage, not the best of ideas. Rob Alexander is going to take full advantage of that turnover. And now Auburn looking to try to take an even bigger lead into halftime, but he'll get intercepted as well. This is on literally the very next play. Northern Illinois able to force a turnover there, so still a tight game going late into the third quarter as well. They're playing a very spirited game against Auburn right now, but it looks like Auburn just has absolutely too much juice for Northern Illinois at the moment, as late in the third quarter they will be right on the doorsteps of yet another touchdown. Auburn able to do whatever they want here in the second half. But here we go, early in the fourth quarter, I should say, setting up the screen, and it works to perfection. Jacobs is going to score there as Auburn wins, or not winning officially yet, but Auburn is winning big at the moment, 34-13, as I don't know why Northern Illinois is doing this. They are running some chew clock. I don't know what's running for the coach's mind. I don't know if there was a setting that needed to be changed, but Dallas Hamilton, the fullback, is going to score here. Jermaine Keys does end up tying the school record for most passing touchdowns in a season, and the Huskies needed this in the worst way possible, but that's as close as they're going to get, though. Auburn will still win in spite of the turnover. 43-28 will be your final score here in the Lenning Tree Bowl. So guys, it has been an absolutely electric bowl season. We have went through every single bowl game that is happening here in the NCSL, but now we get into business. Next episode, the 8 teams that are in the college football playoff that you see on screen will be fighting for a national championship. And in that next episode, we will also figure out who will be the national champion. That is all in the next episode, but I hope you enjoyed this long one. It's taken a while to get together, which is why I haven't posted as much, so I really hope you enjoyed this Bowl Mania. If you did, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. I'll see you guys with the college football playoff in the next episode, but until next time, I hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.